What's up, everybody? I'm going to do a quick video here on how to code, but not in the way that you've been taught in the majority of other videos on the internet. So I really got inspired when watching this guy, Devin Crawford, on YouTube, and he has, I think, like some crazy computer science degree. He's really good at coding. He can make almost any sort of application or website or idea that he has, and he shows in some of the videos exactly how he does it, and he literally is just Googling for a relentless length of time and just testing and trying things out. But and that's what it is you're literally just solving problems. So you're going to go into Google and be like, how do I do this? And then you're just going to dig through the first 2 pages relentlessly. And this is after you build up a baseline knowledge of what technology can do and like what languages can do what, right? But you literally don't have to write a single line of code to get to that point, right? So I'm going to show you a couple things. So I'm going to turn you on to the fact that you can just go on YouTube, you can type in how to code an app or a website. I just put both just because the keywords, you know. And you can just go look at all these people who are going to teach you what they did, what sort of code they wrote, what sort of languages they used, like whether it was like JavaScript, React.js, Vue.js, PHP. It had to have some HTML in it. It had to have some sort of CSS element in it. Maybe it's Bootstrap, right? All these things aren't making sense right now, but they will when you start watching these videos. If you really want this, this is the type of research you will start doing, okay? So Python, right? That's something, you know, powerful. You're going to want to go watch these tutorials. You're going to want to watch 100 videos. 100 videos will give you a baseline, intermediate level knowledge of what you're talking about in any field on YouTube, okay? YouTube University is this like really vague concept that I tout, but I've made websites for people. It was my job for over 2 years of working in web and tech, and I helped develop an app. And all we did was we just identified problems and we did research, and the guy who actually wrote all the stuff, he was the coder, I was the software development manager. Basically, I was deciding how the whole program was going to go, and he was actually coding it all out. When I was figuring out the requirements for it, I was identifying the problems, like, hey, what do we need to do? You know, what do we need to pull our data from, right? All of this stuff is super alien right now, and I know, and none of it makes sense. And I don't even explain it in a really educated type of way. But this is what you need to go do. You need to go watch 100 videos on coding and how to make apps, right? If you have a more specific goal, then search something more specific to your goal. Like if you want to make an iPhone app, if you want to make an Android mobile app, if you want to publish something on Google Play, or if you want to publish something on the App Store, you need to look at that. If you want to make an e-commerce store, you need to search for that. You will find tutorials just like these that will help you do what you want to do. So when you get your baseline knowledge of what coding languages do and what tools you need to set forward and develop your app, what you're going to need for any website or any app is, if you're going to develop it on your computer, right, so you're going to need a local environment. Now there's lots of different ways to develop now, so don't let me keep you in this box if you find a better way to do this. But you will need some sort of local development software in the majority of cases when you're developing something on your computer, right? So I work on Windows, right? If you work on Mac, I know there's stuff just like this. It might come by another name, or I think that XAMPP actually has a Mac version, but anyhow, you're going to need to get XAMPP for Windows. There are other local environment alternatives, right? And a local environment is, just think like if you're a mechanic and you want to start a mechanic shop, you're going to need a shop. You're going to need like a place with like some racks, and you're going to need all the tools and everything. You're going to need a space to work on cars, right? If you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to be much of a legitimate mechanic, right? You can only do some things, like you can do oil changes in your driveway. So if that kind of makes sense, like on my computer, I could write an HTML file and I could open it in a browser and I could display it and I could style it with CSS, because all that stuff works without a local environment being set up. But if you want a database, so let's say you want to store like usernames and emails and passwords so that people can log into your app and they can use it, and so they can fill out forms and whatever, then you're going to need a local environment so that you can make what's called a MySQL database. And there's all sorts of different ways to make databases, but this is just the way that I did mine. I made a MySQL database, right? So you're going to need to download XAMPP, and I'll show you right here. So this is my XAMPP. So I just turned on Apache and MySQL, and to be honest with you, I'm not an expert on this XAMPP thing. I don't know what FileZilla, Mercury, and Tomcat exactly do. People will be able to tell you if you need to know. Like I was saying in the beginning of the video, Google it 100 times and look through the first 2 pages. You will eventually find an answer. Test out those answers and you'll get where you're going. But that local environment, right? So that is actually, so just to show you this, I have a local environment now where I can put my code. My code is in this folder right here. And when you download XAMPP, you're going to want to go to a file inside the XAMPP file folder, which is called htdocs. So I'll just actually show you right now. So in my local disk, right, htdocs, I go in there, and then I made a file folder called project app. Now it doesn't, here's the other thing too about coding, right, is that the majority of what you're writing that is code is stuff that you're making up. So all of these file names that you're seeing right here were all made up. They could literally be names of animals. You can name them whatever you want. I just named them so that they make sense to me, right? Because I'm going to be referencing them, and so when I reference them, I want them to make sense when I reference them, right? So it's all a personal thing, right? Like I said, I could literally name them just any number of random sets of characters, but it wouldn't really make sense when you're dealing with the code, so I just named them what they are, right? And you're going to want to go to this file htdocs. To be honest with you, I don't have any idea why htdocs is the file folder that you go in to put all your code, but that's what it is, right? And so the next thing you're going to want to get is called Sublime Text, and that's just what I use for a text editor. Now, text editor is just literally anything you can put text in. So you can just go to your notepad and you can put all of your text files in there if you want, right? Fine by me. I wouldn't really suggest that overall, like because Sublime Text is way better and it's free. But anyhow, this is all my code in it, right? You don't have to know what all this is. I know it's intimidating. You've probably, if you've never seen code before, or even if you have now, this is not the easiest thing to dissect. Also, because it's my code and I have no documentation for it. It's just a test that I'm just running. But yeah, get Sublime Text. XAMPP, Sublime Text. You can start writing apps. You have a local environment. You have a good text editor to do that. So let me show you the app that I've actually been making. So this app right here, I actually found all of the code for this by Googling questions like how to make a login page in PHP, how to make a login system with a MySQL database, how to make input forms in PHP, right? Because PHP is the coding language that I've picked that I found will suit my needs and help me make the app that I want to make. But anyway, I'll show you how to log into this thing. I just have a username as Bob and my password, and then you log in, and it looks like trash, but I'm still working on it. But I just kind of wanted to show you how it looks overall, like, not how it looks, but how it functions, right? So I can add in a project, so I can actually just be like just some random thing, like have a nice day. Video editor is coming up. Their code is messed up. Description for my project is just some random gibberish, right? Have a nice day. And then I hit submit, and then that actually sends it out to my database, and then I can actually see it down here at the bottom. It'll be like the latest project that I have. Have a nice day. Description. Right? And then I can sign out of my account, right? And then I'm back to the main page. That's as far as the functionality has gotten in it. But I can log in, log out, and I can add a project to my project management app, right? So all of this I did in a couple of days by just Googling the questions that I had. I didn't have to go take any dry course on PHP. I watched a bunch of videos, yeah, right? I got familiar with how code works. I got familiar with how all these things work. But this, literally what I'm telling you, is a shortcut of knowledge that nobody else will tell you. You will go on so many coding tutorials and people will just ramble on about all these technical above the head things that what's that thing that Matthew McConaughey says in Wolf of Wall Street? He's like, it's a woozy, it's a wazy, it's a ooh, it's above the head, That's all this coding stuff. It's literally not normal for us. We are not computers. We don't talk like computers. It's all above the shoulders, whatever you want to say. It takes some learning and getting used to, and it's not a natural world that you're going to really fall into. Some people fall into it. I don't. But look, I made this app right here like this. Bam. And it's not majestic, right? I'm still working on it, but it's not. It wasn't that hard. Like I said, only a couple of days just relentlessly Googling questions. It's very specific questions once I learned what sort of coding languages I needed to use for this. And for this specific one, if you want to know, so I'm using PHP. I'm using a MySQL database, right? And you'll probably want to look into databasing as well. I can show you that real quick right now. Yeah, so if you actually just go to what's called PHP MyAdmin, PHP MyAdmin takes you to basically the database section of your local environment. So actually, I don't know why. Okay, maybe that'll work. But yeah, the local environment's going to have this database where you're going to store everything. So that's like, your passwords, usernames for your app, like if you have a login system. Or it could just be all of your content, like all of your blog posts and all of your content for your posts, right? Like if it's a blog or whatever. This is kind of what a database looks like. So mine is just I made a database table, right? I'm not 100% up on MySQL. But anyhow, you're going to, this is just literally just some random usernames, some random projects. This is all just bogus right here. This is nothing, don't think about this. Uh, I just type in gibberish when I'm testing, and you will understand what's going on. But yeah, I have like these 3 users, and they have 3 passwords, and then I have these projects, which are just things that are added to the database, which later I'm going to pull. Another thing on my app, it's like it shows the project data based off of who's logged in. So if Bob is logged in, it only shows Bob's projects, or if Micah is logged in, it only shows Micah's projects, and so on and so forth. So anyhow, this whole video is made to just encourage you to just focus on learning to code and learning to make apps and technology. Is really just like you're tackling a problem and just asking questions, right? And you're just Googling relentlessly and just doing research to kind of figure it out. And if you don't know what the stuff means, just keep going, right? I had no idea what I was doing or what anything meant when I was building my first website. I literally Googled for probably 6 days straight just to figure out what a local environment was, or what a sandbox was, and how to actually get my hands on one, or what software I would actually need to get one of those going. It was crazy, I'm not gonna lie, like looking back, and that's been years now that I've done that. Probably about 5-6 years since I made my first full website. I've been working on websites, like adding stuff to them before that, but the first one I actually built was about that long ago. So I definitely just encourage you, because it's not as hard as you think. You can definitely get like Udemy courses or whatever. Don't pay for a degree at a school. If you're going to pay for any sort of education, do a boot camp or something technical like that. I have friends who have done those boot camps and have gotten jobs super quick, paying lots of money, or definitely just really good money. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you're not smart enough to do this, because I'm not a smart guy and I've gotten this far. So I'll maybe do some more videos on this, but I just want to encourage you, check out Devin Crawford's channel too, because he's somebody who really helps normalize coding, and he definitely did it for me. And he didn't inspire me to get into coding, but I've seen him recently, and I felt like people needed to hear this message, or just see what was involved. So anyhow, if you watched the video this far, thank you so much for watching. I just wish you luck, and please comment what questions that you have on the video. I'm really just making this to try to help people and move forward and getting involved in technology, and just trying to make things. So thanks a bunch. Subscribe, like the video, comment what questions that you have, definitely, and have a good one.